Welcome to the Devy debate. All right, boys, are we ready to debate? Bruning, are you ready to go head-to-head with me?
I am.
Got to get my popcorn out here. Hold on.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I'm Felix Sharp. I know you didn't think that we would get through this episode without mentioning the name one Zach F. Wilson.
It is first and goal. Ball spotted just inside the 10. Algier in. Wilson faked it to him and keeps it. Zach Wilson, the speed, and he dives for the end zone. Touchdown.
That's Austin Nate.
Gibbs, who is probably going to be the best pass catcher out of the three.
Now, goes down. He's going to get after it again. And look at the speed and the spark and the score from Gibbs. Just what Georgia Tech needed.
That's Matt Bruning.
G. Scott Jr. Obviously, I waxed poetic about him on the last episode, so I won't do that again here.
And this time it's Fields on the carry. Watch out! Justin Fields! Hello! Columbus, 51 yards!
Austin, you tweeted something, bro. You tweeted your running back ranking. Explain yourself.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Ohio State fan talking there.
Oh, shit.
That is why you come to the Devy debate. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. And for Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 Pacific. No one cares about Central Time, so we're ready for the Devy debate. That's Matt Bruning, that's Austin Nace, and I'm Felix Sharp. On today's show, is Elijah Moore the best wide receiver in a historic class? Mac Jones or Trey Lance? And is Javonte Williams the true RB3 in the 2021 class? But we start with Week 11 in college football. And Matt, talk to me a little bit more about this 2021 RB class.
Well, for the past couple episodes, I feel like we've been saying this class is not very strong outside of Najee Harris and Travis Etienne, and I feel like we are going to be wrong about that. There's quite a lot of guys I think that are playing very well. One that you just mentioned in Javonte Williams, Khalil Herbert, a player that I've talked about for the past couple of weeks as well. You got Javian Hawkins. There's a lot of guys who just opted out. There's a lot of players that are really playing well at the running back position. Now, will they all be absolute studs? I don't know. But I think that this class, we're not giving it the credit that it deserves. More looking at my ranks, I think there's easily 8 guys that I would be comfortable drafting. I think have some serious NFL upside. So I think we need to start looking at this class more as an actual decent running back class than just the top 2 guys and everybody else is a question mark.
Mel Kiper has them ranked Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Chuba Hubbard, Kenneth Gainwell. Are you okay with that ranking? Those 5?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I'll save because I can't give away my thoughts on this because it's gonna lead to some early fireworks that I know we're trying to save between me and Austin for later. So little teaser for later in the show.
All right. Just to add there, I think I was trying to think who I would put 6th, 7th, and 8th, and I'm kind of throwing around Jared Patterson, actually, CJ Verdell, and Zamir White, but we can talk a little bit more.
Verdell is not getting enough love, man. He's really not getting enough love.
We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Austin, the 2022 class has piqued your interest this weekend. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I think coming into this season, we had a bunch of different quarterbacks we had Howell last year who put up a pretty good year. Jaden Daniels flashed a little bit, and then Slovis came on kind of out of nowhere. And we were all really excited about Rattler, but there were still a lot of questions about those guys for one reason or the other. And I think the past couple weeks really have started to answer some of those questions for us. I mean, we've only seen one game out of Jaden Daniels, kind of hard to pass judgment, but he looked really good the first week with a pretty limited receiving core, a bunch of freshmen basically out there. Almost pulled off the upset over USC. But the 2 big guys that I think the past couple of weeks have really been kind of solidifying their case as like an early round dynasty Devy guy are Sam Howell and Slovis. Howell coming into the season for me was like a 1A, 1B scenario with Daniels. And mostly because he was really inconsistent last year, both just like on a throw-to-throw basis and just from game to game. He'd have, a throw where he'd throw a dime, 45 yards downfield, and then he'd throw into triple coverage the next time and get picked off. The past couple weeks, Well, this weekend he went 32 for 45 against Wake. He had 550 yards, 6 touchdowns, and looked really, really good. Over the past 5 games, he has a 17-3 touchdown to interception ratio. He's completing about 68% of his passes. He's even looked better running the past couple weeks. He seems like a lot more comfortable about when deciding when to go, when to stay, things like that. So he's been showing really well. And then Slovis, statistically and eye test, hasn't looked as good as he did last year. But I think one of the big question marks I had for him was just his kind of passiveness. He never really took over games last year. He kind of let things come to him. And if things were going well, things were going well. If not, the ship may not get righted. The past couple weeks, in the face of adversity, down late in the fourth quarter, he's led his team to comebacks and looked sharp doing it. So I think we're looking at, another nice quarterback class next year.
I like the quarterback class next year. I've got Howell 1, Slovis 2, and I've actually got Graham Mertz number 3. Now, he may not come out next year because he will only have 2 years under his belt, and this year doesn't even count. But I've got Spencer Rattler after that. But, we've got a deep quarterback class. Quarterbacks, that pipeline is really deep coming in. And that 2022 class, those guys have some arms between Howell, Mertz, and Rattler. There are some really good diverse skill sets between those 4. Are you okay with that ranking that I have? Howell, Slovis, Mertz, Rattler?
It's not what I have, but I think any of those first 4 or 5 guys, like I can see them in any order, and I don't really have a lot of issue with it. It's kind of like the top receivers in the 21 class. I wouldn't really argue about any order. So there's no Lawrence or Fields in the class, in my opinion. So I think people are going to be down on them, but I'd be happy to have pretty much any of those guys. So.
Well, gentlemen, what I learned this past weekend is that Michigan, the football team, has quit on Jim Harbaugh, and it's really sad to say that, considering that this is the house that Bo Schembechler built and that Lloyd Carr continued to build on. 49-11 loss to Wisconsin at home in the Big House. Wisconsin ran for 341 yards and averaged 6.7 yards a carry. Okay, that's terrible, especially when Jim Harbaugh is supposed to be this defense and run the ball head coach. Michigan was so terrible that Paul Chryst let Jalen Berger play. Let Jalen Berger play in the game. And you know how Wisconsin does with freshmen. So Michigan is absolutely atrocious. They don't have talent on either side of the ball. And it's not looking good for Michigan. What is looking good is that it looks like this is going to be the end of the Harbaugh era. I thought it was going to work out for them. It's obviously not, but they're going to get, I just have to believe that they're going to get a big name in here. The Harbaugh brothers, they have this saying, you guys may have heard it. Who's got it better than us? Well, right now it's everybody. Okay. So it's everybody. Michigan takes on Rutgers this weekend, and we'll see if Rutgers has it better than Michigan. Michigan terrible on the offensive side of the ball, and they haven't been great for a long time. I want to do something. I'm going to surprise you boys, okay?
Oh, okay.
I want to do a mock draft, all right? You two get the University of Michigan, whoever you want in the last 10 years. I'll take 2 schools, Stetson and Fordham, all right? I'll go first. With the first pick, I'll take Chase Edmonds out of Fordham. Austin, who you got? Michigan. Fantasy relevant in the last 10 years.
Oh, man. Do they have to be in the NFL already?
They got to be someone who you would draft.
Because, I kind of like Jack Charbonnet and Blake Corum right now. I think both of those guys. And I would take them over most of the guys that have come out of there in the past.
It's got to be somebody in the NFL right now.
Holy crap, then. I don't know, man. Like maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones or something. Like, honestly, you're right. There's really not a lot of guys out there. And Shea Patterson's on a practice squad somewhere, I think. And
okay, I'll give you Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah.
I'll go number 3. I'll go Donald Parham, all right, from Stetson. Matt, who are you taking at number 4?
Do we Tom Brady?
Look at all this
Tom Brady?
I gave you the universe in the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, no. Brady is way before
I know that. Well, I'm talking last 10 years in the NFL. He's still been good. Is there anybody else?
My point is that
Big Bud?
they have not developed They have not developed the
Can I
offensive
take
side.
Jabril Peppers? I mean, he's been somewhat decent for the Browns and the
An
Giants.
IDP.
I mean,
An IDP.
hey,
An
why
IDP
not?
going in number 4 overall because Michigan has not developed the talent on that side of the ball, and that's how you win games. They have to bring in a name. I've heard Luke Fickell. I want it to be Joe Brady. It has to be somebody that can bring in the elite offensive talent to compete with Ohio State. I hate to say it, but it's not a rivalry anymore. It's not a rivalry anymore. Michigan's rival might be Rutgers. That's who it might be this year. All right, gentlemen. Are we ready for the Devy debates?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm
Matt.
excited. Yes.
Matt, let's start with you. You have Mac Jones ranked over Trey Lance. What's up with that?
I do. All right. So we've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. I feel like we keep talking about how Trey Lance deserves to be up in these discussions, and I keep bringing up the fact that he's not playing this year. And he did, whether you like Trey Lance or not, we all have to admit that there were still questions about his game coming into this year. It was why we wanted to see him play out this year. It sucked to only see him get to play the one game. There was a lot of people who were saying he should have gone back to school. I understand him not going back to school. He's still going to have plenty of hype. He's going to be a first-round draft pick, as Felix loves to say. Get the bag. Just go ahead, go to the draft, get the bag. I'm all for it. My thing with Mac Jones is right now, I mean, I know people are saying that he's not playing very good defenses. Georgia's still rated as a top 12 defense right now in the NCAA, and Mac Jones shredded them. 417 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's sitting with just over almost 2,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sitting with a pass grade of 92.8, which is top 10 right now in college football, and an NFL rating, an adjusted NFL rating of 142.3. Just this past weekend, Kyle Trask jumped him in deep ball percentage, jumping to 71. Where did I put it? 71.8. Obviously, the God, the King, the Mormon monster himself, Zach Wilson, is sitting at 78.4, which is just ridiculous. And then it's Mac Jones, yes. And then it's Mac Jones at 3 with a 68.5. So, I mean, and those 3 are the clear separators themselves in deep ball passing percentage. So, my biggest thing with Trey Lance and why I've moved Mac Jones over him, and I know you are not a big fan of Mac Jones, but I think while his ceiling may not be as high as Trey Lance's, to me, out of all the quarterbacks that we've been talking about, whether it's Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Zach Wilson, or Trey Lance has the lowest floor. And for me, he scares me the most out of all those guys because I've seen enough out of all the other 4 that we just mentioned that I'm safe saying that I think they could pan out in the NFL, where Trey Lance, from what I saw last year, you know, you brought up with the Zach Wilson argument, right? Trey Lance hasn't really played anybody at North Dakota State. At least Zach Wilson is getting some kind of competition there at BYU. Mac Jones last year played good competition when he had to step in for Tua when he got hurt, and he's doing it again this year. He's doing it against what's widely considered the best defensive conference in college football. That means something to me. He's out there. He's putting it on tape. I've said it before. He's making NFL throws. Does he have Lance's arm? No, he doesn't. But I think overall he's more well-suited for the NFL and has a safer floor and ceiling, in my opinion, than Trey Lance.
Mac Jones is a 6'2", 215-pound pocket passer only. Show me his difficult throws. Show me his NFL throws. Show me his wild plays. Show me where you see him.
Georgia against Georgia, Devonta Smith back of the end zone. Perfectly placed. Back shoulder pass, Devonta Smith. And there's more. That's just the one that comes off to the top of my head. That's the one that comes to the top of my head when people ask.
Show me where you see him avoid pressure in the pocket and make, some sort of amazing play. I think Mac Jones is what the NFL is moving away from, and Trey Lance is what the NFL is moving toward. Okay, so Trey Lance has the cannon for an arm. We know he can make NFL throws. He's not getting the reps right now, but we know that he can run the ball, and he has the frame. He's 225 plus pounds, 6'2", 6'3". I just listen. It's a lot of you out there that like Mac Jones, and I just don't like the player who we don't see them avoid pressure in the pocket. That's a player that we're going to have to protect perfectly. He doesn't offer anything as far as running the football. And this is a fantasy show. So I don't understand how you could have Mac Jones ahead of Trey Lance when Trey Lance's ceiling is as high as it is. And I just don't see NFL throws from Mac Jones on a consistent basis. Yet when I watch Mac Jones, it reminds me of oftentimes when I scout high school quarterbacks and they're making these vertical throws, and vertical throws just aren't that difficult. Like you drop back and throw it to your receiver who can make a play. What I want to see is the opposite hash outs, digs, that sort of thing. And I just don't see that when I watch Mac Jones play. Doesn't mean that he can't do it. It just means that I don't see it when I'm watching him, and I know that he can't run the ball. So until I do see some of that development in making some NFL plays, there's no chance that I'm going to have him ranked ahead of Trey Lance, who I know has an NFL skill set. I agree with you that his floor is very low because he hasn't had the reps. But if we're talking about the skill set, and if we're talking about fantasy upside, there's no chance that I'm ranking Mac Jones ahead of Trey Lance.
The fantasy upside is the big point for me. And I think I've been trying to learn this lesson the past couple of years, where you don't necessarily look at what the guy can't do. You look at what they can do and then hope that they go to an NFL offense that will let them do the things they can do and minimize the things they can't. Justin Herbert's a great example. Was a guy last year that I was like, he can hit all that stuff downfield, short stuff like or horizontally, like he kind of sucks. And I bumped him for it. And it looks like this year it doesn't really matter. I think we have to be really careful because Trey Lance could very well be that kind of guy where a couple years down the line, we're like, well, people had Mac Jones over him, and this dude's like the most like milquetoast like NFL quarterback ever, and he's doing this crazy stuff. So that's a big point for me that I think I try to keep in mind when I'm watching these guys, and that's why I have Lance in front of Jones.
I think milquetoast is a good word to describe Mac Jones. And we have to remember that the environment, everything is perfect for Mac Jones in Alabama. He's got the best offensive line. He's got the best. I mean, he's got two receivers that are rated in the top 5, and Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle. At least he had. So listen. When the offseason comes, we're really going to be able to scout and nitpick these players more so than we can right now, because right now we're watching every single game and we're getting new information. I can't wait until we get to the offseason and we'll be able to digest the information that we have. I just don't, but I am not a Mac Jones guy. My friend Brandon Lejeune, he is. Bruning, I know that you are. I'm not. There's just no chance that I'm taking a chance on Mac Jones on any of my dynasty teams or C2Cs or what have you. All right, but there is a quarterback that we could be taking a chance on, Bruning, and that's Desmond Ridder. Is he a starting caliber quarterback at the next level?
I think he has a chance to be. I don't know for sure if he's going to be. He's got all the talent, in my opinion. So I was trying to pull up his size here really quick because I messed that up.
He's
I was
6'4".
So 6'4", 215. Obviously, if you've watched any Cincinnati's game, he looks a little slight of frame. He's not a very thick guy. But regardless, right now, for 183 attempts, he's completed 122 of them for 66.7% completion, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 505 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns, 17 explosive plays, which is anything over 12-yard runs. That's where he makes a difference. And he has some issues throwing the ball down the field. His touch is not there sometimes, and I think that's going to be his biggest issue coming into the NFL. But something we've seen here of late, and maybe it's just a weird year in 2020, but you go back the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks getting hurt. And these other guys these teams draft and they need backup quarterbacks come in, all of a sudden start making a name for themselves. I do think Ridder is a guy who could be a 4th, maybe even 5th round draft pick, possibly even higher, but I would guess probably 4th or 5th round in the NFL draft, who could end up on a team. And if he gets a shot, really impress people, especially if he goes to a team that allows him to maybe not have to throw the ball down the field all that time and allow him to use his legs a little bit, kind of like Austin said, getting in that NFL offense that kind of tailors toward your skill level. Do I think he's going to be drafted to be a starter? No. But I do think he has some NFL upside. He's a guy that I've been talking about all year, obviously with the year that Cincinnati's been having. He's a guy that I am really impressed with his dual threat ability and think he can be a legitimate quarterback at the next level.
He's got Cincinnati on the verge of the playoffs. I mostly agree with you on this take on Ritter. I'm glad that you said you think he's a 4th-round draft pick around there, because I've heard Colin Kaepernick comparisons for Ritter, and that's what really bothers me, because we forget that Colin Kaepernick he was inaccurate, but he had a cannon for an arm. He had elite speed, and I don't see Ritter having elite speed. I think he's a better passer than Kaepernick was coming out of Nevada, right?
Yeah,
Nevada. But I don't see the elite speed. And so without that elite trait, and that's what Kaepernick had coming out of a G5 school, he had that elite speed, he had that elite but inaccurate arm. I don't see Ritter moving to the 2nd round and being, really the comparison for Kaepernick. Yeah. I don't think that he has elite speed. I think that he's a more accurate passer than Kaepernick was, but I don't see him having, that cannon. I love his frame. I love the way that he plays the game, but I think that he is a developmental quarterback, 4th, 5th round draft pick that I would be happy to take in that area. But no, I don't see him sneaking into day 2 because I don't see an elite trait for him. So I think that we're on the same page there with Ritter. All right, this is one I have been looking forward to all week since we started planning for the show. Austin, Javonte Williams is having a breakout season. He is all the rage right now. Mel Kiper is talking about him. He's got him as the RB3. So he's the consensus. He should be everyone's RB3 after Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. Is that right?
I hate having to be like the human brake pedal on this show, especially as it relates to like a running backs, because I feel like that's the role that I'm getting shoehorned into over here. But I do feel like we have to pump the brakes a little bit on Javonte Williams. And I do like him. So I think this is going to be another one of those, like, I like Breece Hall, but not as much as everybody else type arguments that we had a couple weeks ago. So I sat down Sunday, Monday, and I finally got to watch Javonte Williams. I watched 4 games. I watched 2 from last year, Clemson and Duke. And they were both all 22. And then I watched Virginia Tech, Florida State this year. He does look better this year. I'll say that right off the bat. But just a couple of notes that I wrote down about him. I said he's comfortable running out of the shotgun, not a ton of experience running with a QB under center, but the NFL doesn't seem to necessarily care about that. He has quick feet, which help him make adjustments when approaching the line. He's one of those guys that falls forward on pretty much every play, which I really like. He has good vision at the first level. He trusts his eyes and is able to make sudden and effective cuts. He isn't extremely elusive in the open field, but he has what I call effective elusiveness, which means he's able to break tackles and kind of get away from guys without having to shake and bake that some other guys have. As a receiver, he's a very good receiver, probably better than his size and athletic profile would suggest. He probably would receive more targets, if not from Michael Carter, who might be the best receiving back in the nation. Natural hands can tell he trusts them by how quickly he's able to transition from receiver to ball carrier, averaging 15.5 yards per reception this year, which is pretty absurd for a running back. So those were kind of the pros that I had when watching him. Cons, like I said, not.
I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, so you agree.
So,
you agree
yeah, so he's not particularly elusive in the open field, which I don't care if a guy is, like breaking ankles all over the place, but I at least want to be able to see him make a guy like miss pretty cleanly. And he doesn't do that a lot. He'll get kind of tripped up and kind of absorb the contact and keep going, but it does slow him down. His long speed isn't great, so I don't think he'll ever be a huge home run guy, which, I mean, Le'Veon Bell's not that guy either, so there is some precedent there for not having that as a strength. And for me, he hasn't quite showcased the mental processing at like the 2nd and 3rd levels that a guy, like I know we're ripping on Jonathan Taylor right now but guys like him in college kind of showed where, you get past that first level and you can kind of set up those blocks downfield a little bit. I didn't really see him do any of that on tape either. So those were kind of just what I saw when I was watching. But my biggest problem with him is that he isn't like significantly outperforming Michael Carter in that backfield. So either we're seriously overrating Williams or we're severely underrating Carter. If you go and look at like their PFF and all that kind of stuff going on, I mean, I get that there's a size difference. Williams is like 5'10", 220, so he's got that ideal build, while Carter is like 5'9", 200. But if you look at like the PFF stuff, elusive rating, Williams is number 1 in the country, Carter number 7. Breakaway percentage, Carter number 1, Williams number 5. Raw stat wise, Williams has about 60 more rush yards on the year at about 0.2 more yards per carry. And receiving yards, he has about 20 more at about 3 yards per catch. So it makes me wonder when I watch them, like whether it's the offense, it's the system. So for me, like I have him in that group that's behind the top 2. I have Javian Hawkins in there. I have CJ Verdell. I have Williams. And then I have Gainwell from Memphis as well. I'm not sure that there's enough separating those guys for me to really say definitively he's the number 3. And I don't actually, let me look at touchdowns real quick since that just popped on the screen. So Javonte Williams this year has 15 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving. Carter has, scroll down. Carter has 4 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving, but they use Williams a lot more in that kind of red zone goal line role. So that's why I don't have him as a definitive number 3.
All right, so here's why you're wrong. I'll start off with I agree with Michael Carter. He is not getting enough love. I don't think it's a product of the system. I just think both of them are very good running backs. I think the reason everybody is talking about Javonte Williams is right now, first in college right now with explosive plays. Again, I mentioned that earlier with Desmond Ridder. Anything over 12 yards, 35 plays over 12. This is just rushing, right? Just rushing. So what it shows to me is something you mentioned earlier, his feet in the backfield. I think he's got really good vision. I may have even put our favorite word elite in our tweet, in my tweet about him, but he hits the hole when he doesn't see that. Well, one thing I don't like is he bounces it outside a lot, which I don't think he's going to necessarily be able to do at the NFL level, but we'll see if he can learn from that. He's second right now in yards after contact, which you mentioned. He kind of takes those hits and keeps on moving, though. Still, 584 yards out of his 896 rushing yards are after contact. 4.87 average, which is the best in NCAA right now. He does have smooth hands out of the backfield. What I love is every time they throw him a pass, he catches it all in one motion. He almost looks like a wide receiver playing. It very soft hands, and he's immediate from getting sacked, which I think is a big deal at the NFL level. And just a couple other stats that I have on here. So again, talking about the split between him and Michael Carter, he only has 120 carries on the season right now, which is 16th because of how much. And Michael Carter, I think, is right there with him. I think he's 1 or 2 less now at this point. He leads everyone. Every single player, running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, in avoided tackles with 62. The next closest player right now in college is Breece Hall with 41, who also has 46 more carries than him right now on the season. Yeah. I agree with you that he doesn't necessarily have that wiggle of, I'm trying to think of somebody, I don't want to say Saquon Barkley.
Hawkins.
Yeah, Hawkins. He's not someone, but he's elusive enough, and he will get out of every single arm tackle there is because of that lower body strength. I love how much strength he has in those legs. You watch a lot of the games. I posted one, I think it was against was it Virginia Tech or Florida State, where number one, he just ran the dude over. I think Garrett retweeted the same running play, but he breaks through every single arm tackle. I agree with you. He is not the RB3 though on the year. He's RB1 for me.
Oh my!
I know. I knew it was coming. I'm putting him 1. Here's my thing. I don't think Travis Etienne can be a workhorse at the next level. I just don't. I don't believe in Travis Etienne being a workhorse. I don't like the fumbling issues. I don't think he's as good a receiver as they make it out to be. A lot of his stuff is quick little hitches off to the outside. He can't run wheel routes. He can't run actual routes. Like you even just mentioned, Austin, and watching him. He is amazing. That's right. He is. That's right. See, I'm not the only one.
This is a page shill that Matt put in.
That's Tim, by the way.
That's my bot account. Najee Harris is close because as we've seen, I can't remember, it was a couple weeks ago where he made that. He high pointed the ball like a wide receiver down by the end zone to make that catch. Najee Harris is a great receiver as well. The difference, I think, Javonte Williams is a little bit more explosive than Najee Harris. If I was sitting at 1-1 right now in a standard league in Devy, I'm taking him 1-1 over Najee, over ETN. I'm doing it.
Austin, we have to stay here for a second. Bruning has got Javonte Williams, number 1. That is the hottest take we've had in 5 episodes of the Devy debate. Austin, you don't dislike Javonte Williams. You just have some players rated ahead of him. Where would you be comfortable drafting Javonte Williams?
I am trying to compose myself right now, so I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. So I have him. Let me look here real quick. So I have him number 6. I've given him like a early to mid second round grade. And like I said, he's in kind of a 4-player tier where I have Kenny Gainwell, Javian Hawkins, CJ Verdell, and Williams. And I could see Williams getting up to 3 or 4 by the end of the year, just because he's got that size on some of those other guys. Like Verdell is 5'10", 210. So I'm pretty happy with his like overall size. I think he can be, an every down guy if he needed to be. Hawkins is 5'9", 196, and Gainwell is 5'11", 191. So that does concern me a little bit, and I could see Javonte jumping them just for that. But I mean, number 1, I can't get any close to that. So number 3, get back to me in like 6 or 4 to 6 months, and we can discuss. But man,
Bruning blessing us with the hot take. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, really quick. Matt, you are right. Kalen Garbage did play good last week. We'll see if he keeps it up. That's all I'll say. I'm not a big fan of Kalen Garbage. Go ahead, Felix.
Bruning giving us the hot takes here in week 11 of the college football season. Mel Kiper dropping his top 10 wide receivers. All right, for the 2021 class. And Bruning, if you can bring our guest on, there we go. Mel Kiper released his top 10 wide receivers: Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Terrence Marshall, Rondell Moore, Rashad Bateman, Chris Olave, Kadarius Toney, Tylan Wallace, Nico Collins. And to talk a little bit more about the 2021 receivers, let's welcome our guest. He's the host of Why Wait Till Sunday, a college DFS show on YouTube, a writer for Razzball. You can find him on Twitter at AL_FF_red on Twitter. Alfred Fernandez joins us on the Devy debate. Alfred, is there anyone missing from Mel Kiper's list?
Oh, no, we can't hear you.
Alfred, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry.
There we
okay.
go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got about 3 guys completely missing off that list. And we won't even go to the guys who I don't think should be on the list because that might be a different show. Anyway, thanks for having me. But we'll get into it. So 2 guys we won't talk as much about. Seth Williams, I think, should be on that list. I'm a big fan of Diami Brown. I heard you guys, talking about Sam Howell. That's his number 1 dude in Chapel Hill. But the spoiler big name that we'll talk about is I think Elijah Moore needs to be in consideration in the top 10 receivers in this class. So yeah, there's a couple guys I really don't think should be in there. And I'm a Gator fan, and I'm not sure Kadarius Toney needs to be in the top 10. I mean, he's a nice player, but that's a little bit weird.
Well, why isn't Elijah Moore the number 1 receiver in this class? We had Jamar Chase, and everybody said, look at the numbers that Jamar Chase is putting up against SEC defenses. Well, let's look at the numbers that Elijah Moore is putting up against SEC defenses. Florida, 10 for 227 yards. Vanderbilt, 14 for 238 yards. South Carolina, 13 for 225. What are we talking about? These are video game numbers. Why isn't Elijah Moore the number 1 receiver in this class?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and I'd say it's because he wasn't a huge name coming into the year, but neither was Kadarius Toney, and he's already in Kiper's top 10. So, and it's an SEC receiver, so it's not a conference problem. I mean, I don't know. It's a great question. You're right. Video game numbers. I mean, I do that DFS show, and the week he went absolutely insane against Vandy, I didn't have him at all because I thought they were going to have to run the football. But yeah, he's been insane. I don't know why he's not number one. I think there's some guys that are a little more prototypical that I'd still put ahead of him. But I think he's in the mix. I mean, he's like my 5 or 6 in this coming class, assuming he, declares. And I think he's one of the best, of the non-super elite. I think there's 4 guys you could say are super elite. After that, he's in play.
So you were on him kind of coming into the year a little bit, and not a lot of people were. What did you see, or what were you predicting was going to happen this year that really put him on the radar for you?
Yeah. So, when I was kind of combing through some of the stats from last year, one thing I like to do is just check out anybody who was a freshman or a true sophomore that kind of commanded 25+% of their team's stats from receiving and receptions and yards. And, he really popped. He had 30% of Ole Miss's receiving production last year, and it only came out to about 800 and something yards and 6 touchdowns. But so on the raw numbers, he's not necessarily near the top of anyone's list. But when you look at it in the context of the offense, he was crushing everything that they could throw at him. He was a true sophomore, and then I was looking at his body composition. He's 5'9", 185. It's not humongous, but it's fine BMI wise. I mean, it's Antonio Brown size. We've definitely seen NFL guys do things at that size. It doesn't scare me away. So then I know the video guys are going to be mad at me, but I went and just looked at some highlights, and I just wanted to see, okay, this guy on paper is like popping out the wazoo. And I turned it on, and I mean, immediately was like, oh, this guy is something. I mean, he pops from a speed perspective. I mean, after the catch, when he catches the ball, it is instantaneous. He is upfield and making something happen. And I mean, it did not take me long to say the numbers are there. The metrics that I look at are there. And then he's one of the guys to me where he just looked like he was playing at a different speed. So I said, okay, that's what an NFL receiver looks like when he's dominating in college. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of what happened over the summer when I was kind of combing through. And some guys you look and their numbers pop and you look at him on tape and you're like, yeah, I mean, he's good. Elijah Moore he just looked different. So you like, this guy is awesome.
You comp to AB a little bit. Do you think he's capable of playing outside then? Because I think a lot of people are hesitant because of his size and they kind of want to place him as like just a slot guy at the next level. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, and I've definitely heard that critique. Oh, he's just slot. And I think he's playing, I think, a ton of slot at Ole Miss. And most of his highlights, you can certainly see that. As far as his ability to play outside, I'm not sure. I'm also not sure I'm that worried about it. I mean, AB comp, I'm not saying his play style. I'm not saying he is AB. I'm just saying, like, we've seen guys of his size be successful, including one of the best we've ever seen, but that doesn't mean he's AB. I don't think you have to be an alpha X anymore in the NFL, especially for fantasy. I mean, we see these guys, come in and get volume fed receptions and put in space, and teams are running 3-wide, 4-wide receivers, and you've got guys, that's what they're doing at Ole Miss, and you're finding space in the open field. And he fits what the NFL is moving to. I think we talked about running backs who can catch well. I think receivers who can do this sort of thing. I mean, Marquise Brown was the number 1 receiver taken, and he's not having a great fantasy season, but the guy was like 165 pounds dripping wet. He's not your true alpha X, but teams want this kind of player. So I think his prospects at the next level for getting drafted, at least on day 2, are probably just fine. And if you're drafted day 2 and you look like Elijah Moore, sign me up.
So I do want to say, I don't know what you're doing wrong watching highlights. Isn't that what all of us films?
You got to get the all 22. Watch every
watch
second
games?
of every play.
Oh, that's what you got to do. No, all right. So just to your point really quick, because I looked it up while you were talking, it's actually changed because we did talk about Elijah Moore just recently. Actually, he was running, I believe it was like 88 to 89% of his slots in his snaps in the slot. It has dropped to 81.6. So they have been playing him more since I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago that we talked about. So they played him a little bit more on the outside. That being said, is there an NFL team you think would be an ideal fit for him?
4 wide. Give me Arizona. I mean, like that. Don't they run? They just run everybody 4 wide. At least last year they were.
I like that.
I mean, and they need more receivers. I mean, Kirk's good, but they could use a third dude.
Get that scrub Andy Isabella out of there.
Oh man, R.I.P. I was a big Isabella guy too, and he just not.
Alfred, while we've got you on, we want to dive deeper into the 2021 wide receiver class, and we want to do a mock draft if you're up for it of wide receivers. And as the guest on the Devy debate, we will give you the first pick, okay, in the 2021 Devy debate wide receiver rookie draft. Who are you taking at the 101?
All right, the 101 for me. I'm not gonna go Elijah Moore, even though I love him. I got to go Chase. I got to go Jamar Chase. I mean, we haven't seen him yet this year, but what he did as a true sophomore, he made Justin Jefferson the wide receiver 2 in his own offense. Like, I don't know, everything. He's just prototypical in so many ways. I don't see any reason. Waddle was getting close for me, but now with that devastating injury, I mean, I hope he comes back. But as of right now, I think I'd go Chase.
All right. Well, I will take my wide receiver one of this class, and Rashad Bateman. I would love to get him second. I love Chase. I know, Felix. I'm just coming in with all the hot takes. I'm gonna get canceled after today's episode. That's the cancel culture going on out here. But I love Bateman. I'm glad to see he had the game that he's had the past 2 weeks. He's starting to kind of perform here. So give me Rashad Bateman at 2.
Bateman is someone I think that we're going to talk about when it comes to the offseason because I have concerns about his profile. I don't know that he's an elite athlete. He's a big slot receiver, and we have seen those big slot receivers bust recently. So let's stay tuned for the offseason. Austin, who you got at number 3?
Man, if you had asked me like 3 weeks ago, I feel like I probably would have said Rondale Moore here, but I'm going to take Jalen Waddle. I'm not that concerned about the injury because it's not like like his knee exploded or something, some sort of catastrophic, can't really come back from injury. He answered a lot of questions that we had about him this year in terms of his possible role in the NFL. And I feel like even if he never is used the way that he was this year before he went down, and we saw what he can do last year in terms of manufactured touches, kick returns, stuff like that. So I think he would be my 103.
At the 104, I have to take Devonta Smith. He's fallen to me at this point. And Devonta Smith is not the elite athlete. But you know who else was an elite athlete? Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins,
Michael Thomas.
Yeah. My favorite. Why are names escaping me right now?
Deontay
Johnson. You have these route runners who are just pure football players, and it doesn't matter what their 40 time is. It doesn't matter what they jumped. It doesn't matter what their agility time is. Deontay Johnson is the fastest slow person I've ever seen. You saw him get that deep route this weekend, and Devonta Smith is on the same spectrum as a player like Deontay Johnson or Antonio Brown or Calvin Ridley. He doesn't have elite athleticism, but damn, try to cover him. Try to cover him as a cornerback. It's impossible. So I'm going to take Devonta Smith at number 4. Alfred, we're going back to you at the 105. Who you got?
I'm going to go by my rankings here. We're getting close to Elijah Moore territory, and maybe for the show I should just take him. But I already mentioned this guy. I love Seth Williams for Auburn. Talk about your prototypical pretty much everything. X outside, can body guys up. The one concern I would have is he is one of these guys who, kind of does win contested catches, which we maybe don't love in the fantasy community because it means he's not getting separation, yada, yada, yada. But he looks athletic. He slimmed down this year and he looks smoother. He looks athletic. And, if you can do anything with Bo Nix throwing you the football, I think you're probably very good. Even Jake Luton would probably be an improvement if wherever he goes in the NFL. So I like Seth Williams. I'll take him at 5.
Seth Williams, yes, he did go from about 225 to 215, I believe. I do like him at the slim down weight. We've had two fantasy relevant players who changed their body type this offseason. Seth Williams is one, lost weight. Sincere McCormick is the other one gained weight. Sincere McCormick has not lost a step at his added weight. You can even see, I posted tweeted back in week 1. You can see in his face, he's got a chunky face now, and hasn't lost a step. I am not a fan of Seth Williams because I generally don't like contested catchers. However, at that lower weight, he looks spry. He looks like a receiver who could get separation, who could be more versatile than just a contested catch wide receiver. I like the pick. Bruning, we're going to you at 106 now. Who you got?
I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like him. I don't think he's getting enough talk. Just 2 games in, both games over 100 yards so far against Arizona State and Arizona. He's a guy that I was looking forward to watching this year and possibly having an even better season. Slovis having the year that he's having is definitely going to help boost his stats up even more. I think he's the best of the St. Browns. You got Equanimous in the NFL. I don't think the other one.
No, he's at Stanford, Osiris or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But I think Amon-Ra is the best out of all of them. I'm pretty sure their dad has come out and said he's the best out of all of them. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does the rest of this year, and if USC can even make the playoffs, what he can do against that top-tier competition. But I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Thanksgiving must be pretty interesting when your dad says one of you is better than the other two.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I'm sure there's some interesting holiday discussions this year.
I mean, who's a more wacky sports family, the Ball family or the St. Brown family?
I like the St. Browns because they're not as annoying, if I'm just being honest.
We should put them on an island and have like a reality show.
Yeah,
Two families like Survivor and just like have them go at it.
Have you seen the St. Brown's dad? I'm pretty sure he's going to kill I shouldn't say that. He's a massive human being. I'm pretty sure he can handle it.
Was he an Olympian?
Yes,
like Mr. Olympus
was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And their mom was some kind of like, I'm almost positive she was very well known for her sports things. Well, she's French or something like that as well. Like they're a very interesting family. I'll just put it that way.
They are, yeah.
So I'm gonna go to the guy that I mentioned last round that didn't go before now, Rondale Moore at Purdue.
Shit! I honestly forgot.
Value.
His freshman year was pretty crazy. It's honestly one of the best freshman years I've ever seen out of, and especially at like a school where he was the guy. Like he wasn't like a role guy at like Alabama or Georgia or something where he's like the 4th option. I mean, he quickly became the first option there and did it, in the air, on the ground, on kick and punt returns. So getting him at like that point is a big steal in my opinion.
You're muted.
All right, I am going to go. I thought about going Elijah Moore, but I'm going to go with someone who could potentially break the combine, as they say, come February. And I'm going to go with Terrence Marshall. Terrence Marshall out of LSU. Yes. He could, run in the high 4.3s, low 4.4s, I think, and kind of repeat the performance that Justin Jefferson had. Listen. This isn't even a rookie draft. This is just wide receivers. And if you're getting Terrence Marshall at the 8 or in dynasty drafts in the 2nd round, that is a value. That is a value. So I will go Terrence Marshall at number 8. Alfred, we're back to you.
Yeah, that just goes to show you. And this year, I mean, I don't know. I feel like as dynasty people and certainly Devy people, because we get even more into the college guys, every year is like, oh, this year is so good. I mean, but really, when you got Terrence Marshall going to the 8th receiver, that is insanity. I mean, it's going to be a bonanza this year. All right. So this is a guy I probably would have taken last pick, would have been close. I'm going to go Diami Brown.
You're
love
still
this
passing
dude.
Moore? I really thought you were going to go Moore there.
I'm going by my rankings, and Moore's right after Brown. So if he's still around in 3 picks, I'll take him gladly. But, I mean, Diami Brown, holy crap, man. This you wanted to, we're going to pair him with Seth Williams, who can't separate. But Diami Brown, gets 10 yards of separation on every flipping, deep route he runs. He is very, very fast. I'm not sure what his actual testing is going to be, but he plays like he's a 4.3, mid 4.3s type guy. And really separated himself. I think a big thing for me this year was, really separated himself from Daz Newsome. Last year, they were kind of neck and neck. And this year, he's really taking the step to be like the alpha on a good team, in a good offense. But I'm glad to see him really commanding those targets. Sam Howell wants to throw to him, and I think he's going to be real interesting at the next level.
All right, so for me, I'm going Kylan Wallace. I like this kid. I thought he could have been one of the top wide receivers in last year's class. Obviously got that torn ACL. I was kind of happy to see him go back because I was really curious if that would hurt his draft stock at all. I think he's been absolutely amazing this year, even with Spencer Sanders in and out due to the injury. He's been having a phenomenal year. I love Tylan Wallace's game all around. Again, same thing you guys have just mentioned. To be able to get him at 10 right now in just wide receivers is ridiculous. I think he's a guy that I think could get that second, maybe third round draft capital in the NFL, and is going to be a guy that you could probably get at 10 in the second round this year because of how deep wide receiver is. So getting a guy like him there, I love it. I love Tylan Wallace's entire game. I think he's going to be a great fit wherever he goes.
We're going to watch Tylan Wallace's game against Kansas when it comes to the offseason because Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsa against Tulsa. Tulsa has essentially a defense that is like the Legion of Boom, where they are very physical with you. There are a couple of NFL draft picks on that Tulsa defense in the secondary, and Zaven Collins at linebacker. When we get to the offseason, we're going to have to look at that game, because they were very physical with Tylan Wallace and were able to neutralize him much of that game. So that's going to be one that I really want to pay attention to. Austin, who do you got after Tylan Wallace?
Yeah, and I'll agree on Wallace. I'm really, really low on Wallace compared to consensus. I don't think I have him in a single, C2C, Devy, like any kind of league, and I probably won't really draft him at all next year. He's just not a guy that I love. So my next guy is probably Chris Olave. It's pretty close between him and somebody else. I'm a bit of a sucker for like his profile of receiver, where it's kind of like that lanky, like not necessarily possession guy, but like not necessarily like a big play guy either. Like they're almost like this all-arounder. I think he's pretty similar to like a Tyler Boyd coming out of college, who I was a huge fan of coming out of Pitt. Boyd was a little better like after the catch, but I think Olave is the kind of guy where he can work the middle of the field. He can work you deep. He's great along the sidelines. He's going to go into a team, and I don't think he'll ever be like a wide receiver 1 on a roster, but he can be a great wide receiver 2, like a Robert Woods or someone like that for years. And honestly, when I'm picking like the 10th receiver or whatever we're at, like I'm completely happy with that as an outcome. So.
Well, Alfred, you're going to get to pick Elijah Moore because I am going with Tamarion Terry. Now, my last pick was Terrence Marshall. He's somebody that could break the combine. Tamarion Terry is absolutely somebody who could break the combine. 6'4", 220 pounds. I tweeted something earlier in the offseason, essentially comparing him to Randy Moss. Now, he doesn't have the hands that Randy Moss had, and we don't really know what Randy Moss's 40 time was. It could have been a 3.9 for all I know. But Tamarion Terry has this lanky frame that can get behind defenses, who can run after the catch. He just needs to be able to catch the ball. Like, that's the thing that Tamarion Terry has to be able to do. Man, it's Scary Terry. What pick is this? I'm getting Scary Terry.
112.
12, I think.
Yeah.
112. Tamarion Terry at the 112. We are only drafting receivers in this draft. This class is deep. Get your second-round draft picks. Get your third-round draft picks in your 12-team dynasty leagues, because some of these players are going to fall into the third round. We don't have Najee Harris here. We don't have Travis Etienne. We don't have any of the quarterbacks. We don't have Kyle Pitts here. And I'm getting Tamarion Terry at the 112. That is insane. That is insane. Alfred, I'm guessing who you're going to pick at we'll call it the 201. Go ahead. Who you got?
Let's do it. We're gonna pull that lever for Elijah Moore, my guy. And I can still wait till the 201 in a receiver-only draft. I mean, this guy's going to be a third-round pick in your rookie drafts, maybe even fourth. I mean, that goes to show. I've been trying to scoop up seconds, but I mean, this exercise is telling me scoop up thirds. I mean, golly, I'm super excited about him. We already talked about him, so I won't go into more, but happy to take him at the 2-1.
I'm going to take Tutu Atwell here. I like Tutu Atwell, his speed, everything about him. I can't wait till the combine when he possibly, I don't know if he'll actually break Henry Ruggs' record, but I mean, he's going to blow up the combine. He's a guy that probably us in the Devy community are talking about, but not a lot of draft experts and everything are talking about. Once he shows up at that NFL combine and blows that up, he's going to be on everybody's radar, kind of like Henry Ruggs was after that. I think he's a little bit better than Ruggs all around. Love Tutu. So again, I feel like we're going to keep reiterating this. Me and Austin are just disagreeing on everything today, but I think we're going to keep reiterating this. Getting him at 2-2 in just a wide receiver only draft is just ridiculous.
All right, so I will follow that up. I'm actually still surprised. This guy's my wide receiver 10 right now, and it's Sage Surratt. And I think he's a little bit of a forgotten guy because he sat out this year, and he has been jumped by a couple guys in my rankings because of that. But he kind of profiles like N'Keal Harry, which does scare me, and it's why like I have him a little lower than if I hadn't learned that lesson like 2 years ago. Maybe I'd have him a little bit higher. But he's just kind of that big, like I could see him playing big slot in the NFL and just being really good at it. He reminds me a lot of Jordan Matthews. That's the comp that I have for him. He's just really smooth. He has good hands. He's physical. He can play outside, so I don't just want to like limit him to the slot and stick him there. And he was like their whole offense last year at Wake Forest. He was like the guy, and he just kind of tore it up. So I think, like I said, with him sitting out this year, people are kind of forgetting about him. But if I can get him like this late, I'm extremely happy to snag him there.
And it makes sense that I would take this player here because I actually have this player ranked higher than Sage Surratt, and I'm going with my boy Austin Watkins.
I knew it. Yeah.
UAB. Okay, Austin Watkins is 6'3", 210 pounds. He has the speed for his size. He's never met a post route that he doesn't like. He is physical. It doesn't matter if he has the ball or not. I posted something early on Twitter last week where he chases down an interception, where he blasts this cornerback on a run route for no damn reason other than he can because he's physical. Listen, Austin Watkins is going to the Senior Bowl, and you're going to see his draft stock rise. He's been a player that I've been very high on because he has the size, the speed, the physicality, and he gets the ball vertically. He can make the vertical catches, but he also turns into a running back after the catch. Austin Watkins is who I am going with at 16. Watch his stock rise if the Senior Bowl is actually played. I can't wait to see it for him to compete against that competition. Alfred, we're going back to you. We're going to go through 24 here. So, Austin, we're at 17. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I think, right before Surratt was kind of a tier break, Tutu Atwell went, and then all of a sudden the last two, Surratt's interesting, but then you go UAB receiver Watkins. I know he's your boy, but like these guys are definitely, I think, a step below in terms of general awareness of these players and also probably future potential. So I do think we finally hit that point where every pick is not just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's still here. But I'm going to go, there's two guys here I'm kind of between, and they're both major risers this year as seniors. I think I'm going to take the guy doing it in the SEC, and we're going to go Shi Smith for South Carolina. I haven't watched him a ton, but he's just thoroughly dominating. I mean, I go a lot by market share means a lot to me. And when you can just completely command everything in your offense, that means a lot. And he's doing it in the SEC against only an SEC schedule. There's no cupcakes on this thing. And I think he looks really good. I watched him the other day a little bit and just kind of looks like a strong, kind of a compact, not big and lanky or anything like that, but just like a strong, good receiver. And I'm excited to see what he can do for the rest of the year. And I'd like to get some more, kind of watch him a little bit more too.
Let's see here. I'm going to go a little off the board here. I'm going to go Marquez Stevenson out of Houston.
That's not off the board. Good pick.
I mean,
good pick.
From the way I'm looking at certain other people's rankings, I feel like it might be a little bit off the board. I like Stevenson. I was thinking about going someone else there, but I'll go Stevenson. I like his overall game. Why not?
Perfect. So my highest guy left, and I actually thought you might be talking about him the past couple picks here, is Reggie Robertson out of SMU.
I was hoping he would go one more round.
I had him pretty high last year. I had him graded pretty similarly to like Brandon Ayuk and those guys before like we got into like the off season, like everything where he had already said he was going back to school by then. The injuries are a little bit worrisome. I mean, he's out for the rest of the year here, but he honestly reminds me a little bit of CD Lamb with like his like Lamb does this thing. And I have a soccer background. So like my big thing is like, it's called having an active first touch, where the ball comes to you, there's a defender coming to you, and you put the ball in a spot where the defender like is running the complete opposite way and you are in the clear. CD Lamb, like there'd be a defender running toward him, ball's coming, and he would just turn this guy right off of him. Roberson does the same exact thing. And I think it's like something you can't really teach, you just kind of have it. And when I watch a receiver that has that skill, it really just grabs my attention. He's really explosive. He might be like a third option on an offense, but I really like his game. So
Reggie Robertson, another one of those players that has that maybe elite take the top off the defense type speed. Hopefully he gets healthy and he's able to come out this year and do all of the offseason stuff. At number 20, I'm going to take a guy who is a tweener in Warren Jackson. I say tweener because he could be a tight end. He could be a wide receiver. And I've started to study Warren a little bit more. He opted out. He's not playing this season at Colorado State with his teammate Dante right there. But Warren Jackson is a back shoulder beast. He's 6'6", 220 some odd pounds. And I can't think of a comparable for him. The only comparable, I should say, there's only one comparable that I can think of for him, and that's Auden Tate, the Bengals wide receiver, the former Florida State wide receiver. But Austin Watkins has a lot more agility than Auden Tate had. He's probably has more speed than Auden Tate had. He has just as much body control. And so that's another player that I'm going to be studying in the offseason to see, can he actually play wide receiver at the NFL? Can he separate from cornerbacks? It doesn't have to be a lot. Can he separate on slants and hitches and things like that? Because I know that he can catch the back shoulder fade. You see that on his tape all the time. We're at 20. We're going to go 4 more picks. Alfred, who you got at 21?
Yeah, I'm going to take Marlon Williams from UCF. Another one of these, senior breakouts, which we're at the point in the draft where I'm happy to kind of do that. I don't think the ceiling is there for some of these guys that break out at like 22 or 21 years old, but he's commanding everything at UCF, which is a high octane, high powered offense. And he's caught like 63 balls in like 6 games or 7 games or something like that. So, I mean, just a reception machine. Not sure he's going to test as the most athletic guy in the room, but, developmental guy, happy to take a shot on someone who at least broke out at some point and is getting 30+% of his team's looks.
For me, I'm taking speed kills in the NFL. Anthony Schwartz out of Auburn. He's a guy that I really like. He's got the speed. Obviously,
my next one. Yeah.
The yak ability. They use him as a runner as well. Big play. Obviously, the biggest thing coming out of him is injuries. But I mean, he's a phenomenal player. I think he could be used, especially if he ends up in the right offense. Could be used very interestingly in the NFL. So I'll take Anthony Schwartz here.
I'm between 2 guys from the same school, actually, at this pick. So I'm going to give a shout out to Amari Rodgers, who I love. Last year I loved Devin Duvernay, and I think Amari Rodgers is kind of Devin Duvernay, but a little more of a smoother athlete. But that's not who I'm going to take. I'm actually going to go with Justin Ross, assuming he comes out. He is eligible. Kind of the forgotten guy now, but he was great as a freshman. He disappointed a little bit last year, and then we obviously know he has like the neck/back injury. But it seems like the way they're talking that he's going to come back and play football. So if we're playing the secure the bag game that we always talk about on the show, and he goes to the draft, I mean, I'm totally comfortable taking him at that spot. And I think he has like top 5 or 6 upside. So, I mean, no brainer for me.
I need to stop muting myself. There are a couple of players that are not going to be taken, and I think it's interesting here. Kadarius Toney hasn't been taken. Daz Newsome hasn't been taken. Charleston Rambo hasn't been taken. Jahan Dotson.
Yeah.
We don't know if he's going to be if he's going to come out. Hasn't been taken. Amari Rogers hasn't been taken. So there are DeMonte Coxey. We forget about him. He hasn't been taken. Nico Collins hasn't been taken. I mean, we are in
Brennan Eagles. Yeah, unless you're taking him right now.
No, I think that I'm going to take
Nico Collins. Do it. It's okay. It's okay to be a homer.
Nico Collins. We'll just call it Nico.
Mel
Collins.
Kiper would take him right now. He's his number 10.
Yeah, Mel Kiper is smoking something.
Man, he's not even the best receiver on Michigan.
Maybe, but I don't know if that's saying a lot. I mean, we had a mock draft earlier, where between Stetson,
that was
Fordham,
hilarious. That was hilarious.
And Michigan. So here's the final list. We got Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, Seth Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rondale Moore at 7, Terrence Marshall at 8, Diami Brown at 9, Tylan Wallace at 10, Chris Olave at 11, Tamarion Terry at 12, Elijah Moore at 13, Tutu Atwell at 14, 15 Sage Sherratt, 16 Austin Watkins, 17 Shi Smith, 18 Marcus Stevenson, 19 Reggie Roberson, 20 Warren Jackson, 21 Marlon Williams, 22 Anthony Schwartz, 23 Justin Ross, and 24 Nico Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a very, very deep wide receiver class for 2021. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait until we get through all of the All-Star games and the interviews and the combine. It's going to be a lot of fun. This show is going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for Austin Nace. Well, let's back up. Find our written content at Dynasty Nerds. You can email the show at devydebate@gmail.com. Has anybody checked that? We might have gotten some emails.
I checked it on Wednesday or last Thursday. There was nothing in there yet. So.
Well, fill up the inbox. We're going to take questions on the next show. Tweet at the show at Devy Debate on Twitter. Give us a rate and review on iTunes. Subscribe to the podcast. And I'm so sorry. One final note here. We have to apologize to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We will be sure to get him rescheduled soon. And for Matt Bruning, for Austin Nace, and for Alfred Fernandez, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck.
All right.
Boom.
Boop, boop. That was a good show.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good
It was a blast,
show.
guys.
That
You guys
was a good
are
show.
fun. You guys have a nice flow, nice mojo going.
And could you imagine? Like we've never. I mean, I've talked to Bruning like over maybe in the last year. But Austin, I just saw Austin's tweet. I was like, we got to get Austin on. Bruning was like, we got to do a podcast.
We got to start a podcast.
They're like, we need a third guy. Who's like the biggest
person.
idiot?
And we were like, we got to include Austin. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun preparing for the show. Alfred, thank you so much for coming on. That was really good. That was really good.
Thanks,
It was a blast, guys. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I know all these people. We're in the Twitter Devy streets all the time, but like it's fun to actually real life, kind of as close to real life as we can get.
Yes, it is fun. It is fun, man. It is fun. And I don't know. Even if nobody was watching this, I don't know. Bruno, you're always like, I'm never paying attention to the comments or what views we have. But even if nobody was watching this, I would still do it because it's fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. Speaking of which, I'm going to go record Why Wait Till Sunday before I go to bed. So
okay, all right.
Later,
Thank
man.
you, Alfred. Thank you.
all right.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Pimpleton ran in a third touchdown. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns.
Oh, we didn't draft him. We didn't draft him.
We didn't draft Pimpleton.
That should have been the last pick.
It's so deep. It's so deep.
So, anyway,
All right, later.
thanks,
Later,
Alfred.
man.
What do you guys think? Good show?
I thought that was great. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. I like you guys, Javonte Williams.
1-1, baby.
It was
1-1.
good. There was a lot of good information on him. So
See, this is the thing. Like, people do disagreements on Twitter and then they get mad at each other.
Yeah.
They should record it in a podcast and it would be more entertaining. Yeah. It would be
I
better.
don't understand why people get mad at each other, man.
I don't understand it either. It's Mitch Trubisky went over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. I mean, what are we doing here?
none of us know anything.
No.
Oh yeah. I know.
Well,
Like I said, I have a soccer background. I never played football, so like I'm learning this shit as I go. Like, you know what I mean? So
I'm right there with you. I actually played soccer my entire life.
Yeah,
I played defensive back in high school for 2 years. That's it. I wasn't anybody like Jared or Garrett or any of you guys who went to college. No, I played soccer. I was much better at soccer than I was football.
Yeah,
much better.
Yeah. You guys see my shirt? Do you guys recognize this?
The Zippy and the Juice Show? No, I have no idea.
Nobody.
Is that local to you guys down there?
No.
I've never heard of it.
No, that's a Dan Levitard show. It's an inside. I got my Levitard merch.
That is one guy. I like him, but I don't ever listen to his stuff really.
Every day.
Yeah.
Tim, that Clow Zhao.
Yeah.
He's like my one listener on the Sharp Review podcast. So
gotcha.
I listen.
Yeah, I recognized his Twitter avatar when he came up. So yeah, that was a good show though, boys.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm excited to listen to it.
Yeah, I always say that I'm not going to listen to it, and then I go back and watch
listening to it.
And watch the tape. Yeah, I got to work tonight though. I got to turn. It's 10:41. I got to turn something in. I love blasting people in Central Time. That's just funny to me for some reason. Like, I don't know why. It's funny. Like, time zone humor is funny to me. And I think maybe because in my 16 team league, we've had arguments about the best time zone, and maybe that's where it's come from.
So is Michigan not Central Time? I know you don't live in Michigan anymore.
Oh,
I don't know shit. Like, I don't know like where the cutoff is. Like,
that's what I was saying.
It's like Chicago. Chicago's the cutoff.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize because was it Carl's in Minnesota? I didn't realize Minnesota was Central Time. I just assumed it was Eastern Time because I know Ohio is because that's where all my family's at, and so I always know they're an hour ahead of me. When Carl was like, "Oh no, I'm Central Time," I was like, "Bullshit, dude! You're in Minnesota. What do you mean you're Central Time?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh shit, man! I had no idea."
Yeah. Somebody was asking, "How do we act?" Matt Coop was asking how to access it.
It just comes up. It just comes up at the top of Twitter for me, right? Like when you go live, Matt, like on whatever your stuff is. Because I watch your other shows. Like if I'm around and like free to be able to listen to something, I usually listen to your other stuff.
Yeah, it was on. It goes live on Twitter. Yeah, I saw that after the fact. I told him he can find it on Twitter or YouTube. But we were live on there. It pops up live on Twitter.
How did we do? Like, were people watching today?
Yeah, I've got I just saw he posted that too. Yeah, here I can pull it up really quick. We had at 1.50 people watching that I can on here. I know there was what's it called? So right now, just
did you
on
say
Twitter,
15 or did you say 50?
50.
Wow.
You know what, Kevin?
You're famous, Austin.
You know what? Why you gotta bring up old wounds, Kevin? I was having a great night up until that moment right then. So just on Twitter alone, we've already had 43 people watch. That was just on Twitter that I just looked at on here. So, well, we had our one. What was it? I went back and looked at it the other day for some reason. It just popped up on my feed. We had 400 something people on the last show, that have replayed the last
show. So they should watch. It's a damn good show. I think that all of us balance each other out really well. Yeah. It flows really well. I mean, we go to topics and we move past them and we, provide the information and go forward. I think it's not too serious. It's a damn good show. It's a damn good show.
Yeah, we do a nice blend of numbers and like stats and like film takes too, which I think is nice. Like I think there's a lot of pods out there that do like one or kind of focus on one or the other. I think we do a good job of that.
I've stopped listening to a lot of podcasts because one, I don't want it filtering what it is that I'm listening. Like the only thing I listen to now is like the Dan Le Batard show, and I listen to Matt Waldman's podcast. That's a film-based podcast.
Yeah.
And then when I can't, like I don't have enough time to listen to more than that. But the football guys, Sigmund Bloom. I love some Sigmund Bloom, man. We should make a push to get Sigmund Bloom on the show. That would be like, if I could get Sigmund Bloom to follow me,
do it. Send him a DM.
He tweeted me once because like he saw that I went to Grand Valley and he was like, "Oh, you played with Brandon Carr. We had him on the show." I was like, "Yeah, I did. I played." Like he took me on my recruiting visit and blah 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 blah. I thought he was going to follow me after that, but nope.
It wasn't enough. That wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. He's like, "That's
what's the worst you can say?" No, we had 464 people watch the last episode on Twitter. That's just on Twitter. That's not counting YouTube, Twitch,
Are you
anything
talking about
else.
this show? Just that we
no,
just had?
the last week's episode. There's been 464 people who've watched it.
Where do you get these stats from?
Just on Twitter. Yeah, just scroll through and find it. I can see it on there.
So I have to ask you about this, Matt, because I actually have a buddy that we're so I have like a side project I'm working on. It's like a strictly C2C website.
Yes.
No overlap with some of the other things we've got going on.
By the way, we're still recording, so
yeah. That's why I said that. Yeah,
hangout. I know.
But we actually we're going to do 2 pods a week. It's going to be campus to Canton, so it's going to be like a campus to Canton. So one part of the pod is all campus on Mondays, and then like the NFL side's on Thursdays, which is like a concept that no one's really doing out there. But I have to ask you some pointers on.
Wait, who are you doing this with, Austin?
So not with a guy that's like at all like in the community, really. He's like a personal friend of mine, and he's starting to kind of build his own whatever up. But it's just a project that I've wanted to do for a while, and there's not like, I'm not going to give too much of it away, but it's like a niche that really even like the project we're doing now like isn't exactly covering. So well,
apparently we're going to be in the house for the next, until February. So it's like the perfect time to podcast. Are you guys, Bruning? You're in Texas.
Yeah.
No,
they don't have any regulations in Texas.
No, people don't even wear masks down here.
You live in Texas?
Yeah.
I thought you lived in Ohio.
No, I'm from Ohio. I live in Texas right now. I hate it too. I hate it. Any Texas people watching, I'm sorry. I hate it. It's not for me.
I'm in Kentucky, and we just had the governor go on TV today and like impose all of these, not as severe as some other states, but restrictions.
Yeah.
So I went to Austin, I'm a lawyer. We got an email from the Eastern District of Kentucky court saying that we're continuing all trials. And I was like, oh, snap, they must know something that I don't know. So I immediately, I got that email and I went to the grocery store. Toilet
paper?
Yes, toilet paper is off the shelves again. I went to Kroger and I went to Target to get some, and I like the pack, packing in and hoarding. Like I got ribs, I got chicken, I got wings, I got steaks. So
we're road tripping to Felix's house.
I guess I'm just gonna have a barbecue for the next couple of weeks.
I know Ohio's got it pretty bad right now. They're cracking down on everything. I know Carl was telling us earlier, Minnesota's doing the same thing. They just had a big meeting at his job that a bunch of them are probably going to get laid off because of what's going on there. Yeah. Here, there's literally nothing. So there are people who will walk into Target, everything without even a mask on, and nobody says anything. Texas don't give 2 shits about anybody. So
we're wishing the best to anybody, who is going through something right now or as a result of this dumb pandemic, and we hope we get through it fast. Hopefully we can, whoever's listening to this, we can provide some relief for at least an hour or so. So.
Yeah, this was a long show.
Bruning can with his Javonte Williams #1. You can't believe that. That's not true.
I can't believe that. I honestly think that he is closer to ETN than people give him credit for, and I think he's going to be better. I think he profiles to be a better 3-down back than ETN. So it comes down to Williams or Harris. No, I have Harris one. I've had Harris. Yeah, I've had Harris one for a while now. For me, it comes down to those two, and when I look at it, I kind of think I'd rather have Williams. They're both right. He's younger than Harris. I think he's got a little bit more explosiveness. I think Harris is a really good receiver out of the backfield, but I think Williams is more explosive when he gets the ball out of the backfield in the receiving game. So I think all in all, I'd probably rather take Williams.
Would you have taken him over Journey Brown if he was like healthy this year? And
No.
Yes, because
yes. Okay.
There were still some questions for me about Journey Brown's game. That's why I wanted to see him play so badly this year. Like, he has all the talent in the world, but I still felt like he wasn't quite as good as some of the stuff he put on tape last year, and I wanted to see it this year. And that
you thought he wasn't as good as what he did last year?
Well, the stats tell you that he was amazing, but when I go back and watch the tape, I don't think he was as amazing as the stats tell me he was.
That's one thing that we're going to forget about Najee Harris, that he's so much older than these other backs. Yeah. I don't know that. So you're only going to have him for a couple of years, maybe. But I feel like Fred Jackson was older when he essentially popped, and that has been my comp for Najee Harris. I've got Najee Harris number one because he has he's a 3-down back. He has the size. Javonte Williams does too, and so I like ranking him highly because he can catch the ball. I agree with that, but I wouldn't put Javonte Williams ahead of Najee Harris. I mean, Najee Harris is going to be what, 240 pounds? You think, like something like that?
No, 240. Well, you think?
Let
me look it up.
I think he's going to slip. Well, first off, I think he's going to slim for the combine. I think that's going to be a big thing for him. I think he's not going to run.
But why?
He's going to drop weight.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if
he's not going to run. He's not going to run.
Listen at 230.
Because I think he'll run over a 4.6.
But do we care?
I don't care at all. I'm just saying I don't think he runs.
He's going to be the first or second running back drafted. It's going to be him or Etienne. I don't. Even if Williams continues the pace that he's playing at right now, I don't see him being one of the first 2 running backs drafted. He'll be the third or fourth.
We don't see either of them going in the first round, do we?
I don't know, because my thing is, as loaded as it is. Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't know that much about the defensive side, so that's where my question comes in. I know there's some really good defensive players, but I don't hear enough people talking about it. So I wonder if, because the defense is not that deep, neither is offensive line, all we're talking about is quarterbacks and wide receivers. Maybe a running back does sneak into the first round at the back end. Like nobody thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back, was going to go at the end of the first round this year, and then the Chiefs went and did it. So no guarantee that one doesn't go. If I had to guess, I would say it's going to be Etienne, because I think his speed and explosiveness is going to intrigue some team to just be like, you know what, let's take him at the end of the first round, get him for that 5 years. Because that's the thing, like with Harris, that's my biggest argument when people say, well, he's old. But in Dynasty, you're only expecting to have those running backs for 3 to 5 years, maybe, and then you're already moving on to somebody else. Harris is going to give you that, and then I hate to say be done with him, but then you move on to the next player. Like I don't think his age is going to be an issue at all.
I don't think it's going to be an issue at all either, because like explosiveness isn't really his game. Isn't Harris's game. It's more being well-rounded, and he's going to be well-rounded. And like I can see Najee Harris still being fantasy relevant at like 32 years old. I mean, because he just, I mean, that his game isn't speed and explosiveness. He's durable. He's well-rounded. He can catch the ball. He can run, the wheel routes. He can catch the ball over linebackers if you need him to. So, I don't.
So here we go. Looking at I'm pulling up the NFL standings here. So you're telling me if, say, Steelers right now, who are 9-0, right? Yeah. Coming around at the end of the first round, they really don't have any holes, offensive line, defensively. Now, they could probably lose some players here and there. I don't know what their contracts or free agents look like. But say come around at the end of the first round and the Steelers are like, you know what? James Conner is not it. Obviously, Jalen Samuels and Benny Snell don't look like they're going to be anything. We're taking Najee Harris. You're telling me that guy's not going to be – I mean, if they take Najee Harris – outside of – I'm trying to think of who else is up there. Outside of, let's see – Bills maybe, because I don't think Singletary or Moss are overly talented. The Cardinals, Buccaneers maybe, because as much as I love Rojo, I don't know if he stays there, or Fournette. Like if one of those 3 teams takes a Javonte Williams, then I might think about it. But if Najee Harris lands with Pittsburgh, I think he's going to end up being the smash number one over one because of the power running they love to do. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Man, he's going to be legit.
I think he's the odds-on favorite to be one-on-one in non-super flex anyway.
Yeah.
So
I'll say as a Steelers fan, I think it's unlikely that we would do it. It's just not really our GM's draft strategy. And B, I would hate it.
Oh, yeah.
You muted yourself. You were so angry you muted yourself.
I don't know what happened there. Not that I dislike him as a player. The thing about this year with the Steelers, and I've been saying it for like the last like 6 to 8 months, like this is like a must-win year for us, but I'm not really sure the roster. We're like I know we're 9-0, but like this isn't like a chips all in type of roster.
Oh yeah, like I hate to be the guy because I'm not a big fan of the Pittsburgh Squealers and all, but I do not think I can't hear you at all now, but I'm with you. I don't think that they're 9-0, but I don't think they're a 9-0 team, if that makes sense. They're good though. I still think they're probably. I mean, I'd say for me, the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, and then I'd say it's probably them and the Bills are right there. Even though the Bills have kind of floundered a little bit here and there, I still think they've got a really good team. I mean, it'll be interesting. I think they're going to be the 1 or 2 seed. I don't see them losing 3 games or 2 games out of the next couple. They look like they could legitimately go 16-0 with the way their schedule lines up. So
yeah. I'm not as high on the Bills as a lot of people are.
I love Josh Allen.
Offensively and defensively. I think the Steelers match up pretty well against them. But like the Steelers this year, we lose Juju, Connor, our left tackle Villanueva, who we might bring back, but with the COVID clampdowns on cap increases, it's going to be difficult. We lose Bud Dupree. So there's some other significant holes there. I'd be pretty upset if we took a running back early, to be honest. But who knows?
Do we have any questions?
No, I haven't seen anything. I don't think. Oh no, I did leave us on YouTube. I was wondering if we were going to get a bunch of thirst trap questions again on here or not. So, but
we should. I guess I should advertise. We should when we close out the show, we should say stick around for the. What are we going to call this?
So
the hangout, the Devy debate hangout.
We need to come up, and I'm not opposed. Like I'm not opposed to doing it. We need to come up with just like some like basic content we put on the Twitter page for the show.
The Devy debate Twitter.
Yeah. And I'm not opposed to drafting brainstorming a bunch of ideas and just presenting to you guys.
Well, I was thinking about doing that. That might be something you could do what I was going to do. I was going to wait till tomorrow because like I said, I got to be up at 3:00. So I'm likely going to go to bed as soon as I'm done with this. But I was going to post our draft that we just did with the wide receivers and then like post a poll. Who do you think had the best group of wide receivers? Have all of our the wide receivers we drafted on there. I mean, I can do the cut up stuff again. See, the one thing I hate about Twitter is it can only be 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So it's so hard to get because like I'm pretty sure both you and me went over the 2:15 and the Javonte Williams thing. So it's so hard to find like the perfect amount of what to do that, but I could like cut that up and then just email it to you and then you can post it on the Twitter page. So it's not me doing it and then you retweet it from my page.
I do think that it's good for those cut ups because then it's like a preview, people can see if they, want to tune in or whatever.
What do you use to like cut up?
So I said that I literally don't know what it is. I have a HP, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know if I can't share my screen. I don't think. Let me see if I can just click on something. I'll click on the picture and then see if I can share my screen. Anybody watching can enjoy this. Application window. Yeah, here we go. So, okay. So I literally just click on photo and it pulls this up. You guys can see that, right? I'll go full screen. So then literally right up there at the top, it says edit and create, right? I literally just click on that and then I go create a video with music. And then it does that. And then eventually it loads. Sometimes it closes out. Okay. And then it says this little thing down here, storyboard. I just usually type in whatever I want to name it. So it would be Javonte Williams, right? Okay. And then I would just go in and edit my clip. And then right here, you can go duration. I change it to the 2 minutes, 15 seconds. And then up here, it says custom audio. I just download that part of the show that I want. And then I just type in, that's what I upload. So I would download, I'd cut up the parts of Javonte Williams, save it onto my computer, and then custom audio, put that in Javonte Williams, and it literally just plays. That's how I did the intro stuff because I couldn't get, I need to do it. I just haven't had time. I'll probably do it next week because I'm off Thursday, Friday. Because it's too much, keeps being too much megabytes. So I got to figure out a way to drop down the megabytes. So that's how I created the intro for the program. That's all I did. I just took the intro I created and then added in all the videos and GIFs and all that other stuff. It's not, it's kind of easy. I'm technologically, I feel like I'm very stupid. So if I can do it, I feel like it's not hard.
Yeah, no, I'm technologically pretty bad too. It's like really embarrassing because I go home, like I'm going to be home for Thanksgiving next week. My brother works for IBM. He works on Watson. That's like what he does. and then my sister works for Intel. So they're both like crazy tech, whatever, and I'm like an idiot. Like show me stuff, and I'm like, oh, that like I feel like I'm not an old man. Like I'm not your grandpa. You don't have to show me how to like, check my email, but I need the help. I need the help.
I feel like I'm standing right next to my parents sometimes. I'm like, how do you use this thing on this smartphone here? It's bad, man. It's bad.
Boys, I gotta turn in a report this evening. So
all right, so we're calling it. All right. Well, it was a pleasure.
I could do this all night. I like the after show. It's good.
Same.
Just like the show is good. And I gotta finish my report so I can watch the show tonight. See how
I'll try and download it really quick, and then I'll try and get it uploaded before I go to bed.
So are we doing a show next week?
We got to.
I'm down. I'll be done at like 9 o'clock in the morning Wednesday for work. So I've got nothing going on. I'm off Thursday.
I'm on
Friday,
vacation next week. I have to take a deposition.
Oh, so we can do a Wednesday day show maybe.
We could.
The big thing is like Wednesday evening we're leaving for my in-laws' house, which I can take my shit. Like it is like there.
I can do a show anytime Wednesday.
Depends on the time because we're still doing the program show, so that it'll have to be either before that or after that. I mean, I could literally do it right after that because I'm already on. I have to exit out and then upload the new show. But I'm literally I'll be home by like 9-10 o'clock in the morning.
So that'll probably be the time where I'm on the road. To be honest,
that afternoon.
Yeah, like that 5 o'clock,
like Tuesday. Oh, we can figure it out. We got to do a show next week. It doesn't make sense for me. Like I hate it when like my favorite radio shows where they don't do a show over because like that's the time when I have to listen.
Yeah,
is when I'm on vacation. But we got to do a show next week.
Yeah, like I said, for me the only day that's going to be hard for me to do anything is Monday because I have family coming in town. They'll be here till Tuesday morning, so I'm going to spend as much time with them as I can. I don't get to see my parents that often. But then outside of that, I mean, I can do it Tuesday night. I can do, like I said, I can do it if you guys want to do it like, noonish my time or whatever Tuesday or Wednesday before you have to leave. But it doesn't matter to me. Just let me know.
What about 9:30 on Tuesday, Austin?
I can do that.
Yeah, it would work for me. Yeah, no issues there.
All right, so I'll create the new show sheet, and we can try to do it Tuesday at 9:30.
Cool.
All right. So, works for me.
Good.
All right, boys.
Later.
Enjoy the rest of your week, guys.
You too.